Welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast, the horror movie podcast that boils and ghouls and dead alike are screaming for. Don't be afraid to listen as Rick and the Creeps bore their way into your brains, slither down onto your arteries, into your still beating hearts.
Hi, welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast. This is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. I'm Rick. Got one of the creeps in the house today.
What's up?
Got Darren. It's been a bit, man.
It has been a bit. When was the last one?
I don't recall. What did we do?
Oh
Shaylee came out.
Did you?
And yeah, you and I did Shudder.
That's right.
And The Shining?
And The Shining.
As The Shining?
Yeah.
That was a bit ago.
I love that Shudder.
Yeah, Shudder's good.
Yeah,
Shudder's good. Not that piece of crap American remake that they did, but the I forget where it was from. I don't know if it was from Thailand or I don't know, somewhere around there. Yeah. It was something like that.
I thought it was Thailand.
Was it Thailand? But anyways, man, welcome back. Today, you and I are going to be talking about 1986's From Beyond. So you recommended this one.
I did, man. Yeah, because it was one of those horror movies that from, the 20-year-old version of me, and it I don't know, it had like an impact back then, but I just watched it.
Dude, before we do that, let's do you want to do a quick synopsis? You want me to do a quick synopsis on it? Do you want to just noodle your way through? No? Okay, I got it. So basically, From Beyond, it's a group of scientists. They develop a machine that allows...
the Resonator.
The Resonator allows whoever is within range to see beyond normal reality. But when the experiment succeeds, they are immediately attacked by some terrible and strange life forms.
It's supposed to like stimulate the pineal gland.
Thank you.
Which they claim is like our third eye.
Yeah, our third eye. But are they calling it a sixth sense? Is that what
essentially it's like the sixth sense?
Yes, and
not the Bruce Willis.
Not the Bruce.
Just making sure we're all
the only good M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, totally.
But before we jump into this, full spoilers to everyone.
1, 2, spoilers coming for you.
All right, man. So this is interesting here because I had never seen this movie. I know of the movie.
Yeah.
I had seen bits and pieces of the movie, but I had never sat down and watched it from start to finish. And I kind of wish I never had. I thought this movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I always look on IMDb just to see what people, they gave this a 6.6 and I'm like, who the hell gave this a 6.6?
That's a pretty solid.
That's a solid for a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's a solid score.
It
and
is.
I'm like, who did that? Was it all of the actors and directors, like friends and family? Because dude, I thought this movie was
everybody
terrible.
wanted to see Barbara Crampton. Man.
Well, yeah, I mean, so what's interesting is so Stuart Gordon directed this. He also directed Reanimator, which I did like. I liked Reanimator.
Yeah. And both of them were in it.
Correct. Yeah. Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, Stuart Gordon directed this one, and he directed Reanimator. He definitely has a style about him.
Yeah.
A lot of the body horror stuff. I'll be honest, watching From Beyond, I almost felt like it was a small extension of Reanimator. I know it's a different story, but is it really?
Well, maybe not.
A mad doctor? Yeah. I mean.
Before I forget this, when I was, kind of doing a little prep stuff on, before the podcast, I ran across that they either are or have done a 2-part series remake of this From Beyond. It's not called From Beyond. I forget what it's called now, but it was like a 2-part thing. So it's like you can like totally like just binge them back to back to get the full. Yeah, and it's like a kind of like a redo of.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, what's fun when I was watching this, I'm like, well, I know we did Reanimator. and then he did From Beyond, and I think he did Beyond Reanimator, which I think it's like, really, dude, you couldn't come up with another name.
That's kind of funny.
I know.
Beyond
I thought it was
Reanimator.
Beyond Reanimator. It's like but man, I enjoyed Reanimator. This I kept looking at my phone going, is this thing over yet? Just to see how long it's been playing.
Dude, I was YouTube rabbit holing when I was going through doing all this research, and I found this one guy who also reviews horror movies. Yeah. And his the name of his thing was pretty cool. It was Bloodbath and Beyond.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
I thought it was cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, you're welcome for the shout out.
Yeah. But dude, I just felt this movie was, I felt it was a mess. I felt it was almost more soft porn than it was horror to me.
Man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it when I was like, I want to say I was like maybe 21, 22, And
you're probably
well, I mean, I don't recall then the sexual slant to be very much in my face then. But when I just watched it the other day, I was actually embarrassed for it.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
I was too. It honestly, I get it if it's supposed to stimulate something and but I'm like, I don't know, all of the
Rick,
torture, sex stuff, it just didn't.
It made no sense why that thing would cause everybody to have a boner. And that made no sense at all, dude. It was like, let's throw sex in here because sex sells, and let's,
Yeah. And I mean, he had her in Reanimator. She was nude in Reanimator. She was nude in this one. I think she was nude in Chopping Mall. I think, I don't know, maybe it's in every friggin' movie she does. At least back in the 80s was like, Barbara Crampton's going to be nude in every one. She wasn't believable to me. She's super young in this movie. So what they did is they put her hair in a ponytail and put big old glasses on her, and
to make her seem like a professor of psychology or psychiatry or
Jeffrey Combs is believable to me because I mean in Reanimator I think he was also a doctor, wasn't he, or some mad and so that was more believable. The acting's over the top. It works. It worked in Reanimator. It just didn't work for me here.
Yeah.
Like honestly, and I don't want to say that there's not any good things happening in this movie, because I think there is some stuff that is pretty good. Not a lot. I will say this: some of the practical effects, some of them, most of them are not good.
No,
some of them are decent.
I think all of the things that they started to notice, the little fishy eels swimming around, and like the weird like I don't know, octopus thing that were swimming around. I think those were horrible, dude. Those effects were just the worst.
So interesting though. For that time, that was common, because what do you get nowadays? You just CGI the damn thing.
Well, I just wonder though, because the technology back then there was non-HD, right?
Yeah.
So it probably blended in substantially better in standard depth.
It did, because another movie that you and I are going to do later on, The Gate.
Yeah.
I noticed similar type of, effects. And when I saw The Gate in the movie theater, I didn't notice it.
No.
When I rewatched it recently, I noticed it.
Me too.
And absolutely noticed it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, man, what I will say is I did like that it didn't waste any time, right? Like the movie starts and it gets straight into this this thing.
Oh yeah.
And that Dr. Edward Pretorius.
Yeah. But honestly, dude, at the end, I'd say the last 25 minutes, I started fast forwarding through it.
Oh, dude, it was bad.
Because it was like after it felt like it hit its climax and really should have wrapped up then.
Yes, it did. It should have.
And yet I looked at how much time was left, and I'm like, almost 30 more minutes. What's left to do?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I agree with you, man, 100%.
Yeah.
I was honestly, I don't own the movie, so I had to watch it on like some free app.
Like Tubi?
On Tubi.
So did I.
And Tubi, when I paused it, didn't tell me how much longer it had left. I'm like, oh, come on, this has to be wrapping up here soon.
Yeah.
It just was,
It just kept going.
It just kept going. It drug. It just most everything just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Even though and this is an H.P. Lovecraft story.
Yeah.
So when so I knew this, right? Because it says H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond. So as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, okay, how much did they take from the story, and how much did they just embellish? And so I had found out that the H.P. Lovecraft story is only 7 pages long. That doesn't make an hour and a half movie. So they had to add other shit into this.
I would
thing.
wonder. I mean, I haven't read a ton of H.P. Lovecraft, but I'm wondering if that's not average.
I don't know
for those stories.
All I know is that his stuff is weird because Reanimator is also based off of an H.P. Lovecraft
a lot
story.
of tentacles.
A lot of weird tentacles and weird body stuff. Yeah. And like you and I have talked about, I'm just not into the body horror, man. It makes me very uncomfortable. And I guess that's the idea, but some people are okay with it. I am not.
Yeah. There's a video game that came out I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It was called The Sinking City.
Okay.
And it was like an H.P. Lovecraftian style,
similar though.
Like tentacles and weird,
yeah. I don't know, man. And some people are into that. I'm just not.
So is it Praetorian?
Yeah,
is that his name?
No, Dr. Edward Pretorius. Interesting.
Yeah.
When I was looking stuff up,
that guy looked fucking weird.
He was weird, dude.
Dude, he was.
He looked like a swinger.
He did.
He looked like he looked like someone you would go to like a dive bar and then he'd try to hit on you to do like to swap or do a threesome and
no, dude. It was like if you were to show up at some Las Vegas like bestiality convention or some kind of that
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
like where swingers go and it's like, one of those
or they dress up in those weird a ton of people will show up to this thing and they'll all be dressed up and you can't see their faces. Like one will be a cat and one will be like whatever animal. Yeah. And they do, and I don't know what it's called and I'm not hating on it. I've never done it, but I could see him like running the thing.
Totally. Yes.
And his name supposedly, the Pretorius name is supposedly like a Dr. Frankenstein is it's I don't know, it's his friend or a sibling or something. So that's where they got the name Pretorius or something. I was like, okay.
I don't really give a fuck where they got it.
Yeah. And and I don't really know that actor, Ted Sorrell. I don't know.
Bubba or
no, that was him. No, Dr. Edward Pretorius is Ted Sorrell.
Oh, got it.
Is it Ken Foray? I remember him from like Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. He's been in a lot of other stuff.
Right.
He's Bubba Brownlee. Bubba Brownlee. Barbara Crampton is her character's name is Catherine, and then Jeffrey Combs is his character's name is Crawford. And then you have that other doctor that's at the hospital, Dr. Bloch or Bloch or something. She was weird, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so, and see, directed by Stuart Gordon. Like I said, he did a bunch of stuff. I think he died a few years ago. He did Reanimator, did Dolls, he did other stuff. Produced by Brian Usna. And Brian Usna, I hope I'm saying that right. He did Society. And if you've never seen Society, Darren, that takes the body horror to another level, dude.
Does it really?
Oh, it really does. It really does. And I think that's about it, man. I mean, there's other people here and there, like the detective, but I just don't feel like they're really, I don't know. They're not really important.
Relevant.
They're really not important.
They're really focused around
really 4 people. Like
the 3 of them and then
Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba was my bestest good friend. Sorry, man. But I mean, at least it starts out quick. It gets into it. The thing works and he sees stuff and then, Dr. Pretorius turns it on and
dude, it kind of cracks me up, man. Cause like he first, the one, what's his name in the movie?
Crawford.
Crawford.
Yeah.
Crawford puts, I'm horrible. Yeah. You guys should know that by now. I'm horrible.
That's okay. I have to write them down. If not, I forget.
But he's got like the 4 levers and he's only got the one up because, he's trying to be scientific about it. You don't just, you don't just crank everything up and go to town. You got to like experiment, right? He goes and gets, he's all, dude, the resonator's working.
Yeah.
And he's all like, so he goes up there and he looks at him like with that like, really, dude, you only like put one lever up, and he like puts them all up. And I'm like,
well, because when he put the one, he saw the little swimming, what the hell, an eel or something?
They look like eels,
They look like
dude.
eels, right?
Yeah.
Now, then when Dr. Pretorius did it, then all kind of hell broke loose. And then did this thing?
I would like to know, because they never showed it.
They did it.
I would like to know what the thing looked like. Did it look like essentially what he turned into?
I don't know. Like that bit off his head and then kind of absorb. Like it didn't absorb him. He just became that thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they said he was dead.
His body was still laying on the
decapitated.
Yeah.
So then once it bit off his head, and did it just become, I don't know, can it just take whatever form it wants to?
Yes, man. It's all like, hey,
I don't
your
know.
Pineal gland tastes pretty good.
Dude, I have to, oh my God. The stupid thing coming out of the head, dude, it looks so stupid.
Jesus.
It looked like I don't know, dude, like a worm, a snake, a friggin'
like
thin-ass penis.
Look like a sperm to me is what it looked like.
Because the hole on his head looked like a friggin' vagina.
Yeah.
And then when the thing popped out, it just like a thin-ass version of a super thin-ass version of a penis, dude. It just, it looked bad. It looked bad. Then what I didn't understand, and we're going to jump around a lot because I want to.
Sure.
Because this thing is a mess. And so he gets sucked up by this creature, and then his hair is gone.
Yeah.
But then later on in the movie, when he's trying to break out, his hair is there. What is that?
So the impression that I got from that was, didn't he get, okay, I'm trying to piece this back together. Didn't he get also his head bit off? Crawford.
I don't know if he got his head. Did he get his head bit off?
I think he did, dude. I
just thought the thing came over and grabbed his head. Okay.
That was before. That was that, and then when they finally like cut power, okay, then he was bald. But it was scenes after that that I think he also got his head bit off.
Oh,
and I think the thing absorbed him. Because he was gone at that point. He was no longer bald, dude. His head got bit off.
But remember when he was trying to break through?
No, I do. Yeah. But I think that was just essentially his essence. I think coming out of there.
Okay.
Which is why he had his hair again. Like,
okay. I don't know. There was just things that some of it just didn't make sense. Like when she leaves. Okay, they were going to do electric shock on her in the hospital, and then she's able to get away.
Yeah,
and then she drives back, but has now somehow concocted a bomb, an explosive.
Yeah,
that probably would take anyone, I don't know, days, weeks to figure out.
It's going to take a Walter White,
right? But she somehow created an explosive on her way from the hospital back to Dr. Pretorius's home.
Yeah, like on the road.
Yeah.
And just like steering with her knee.
And somehow created an explosive to blow up this resonator.
Yeah.
And I just...
Dude, none of these characters made any real sense. At least their actions. Like, made any sense at all. Like, okay, before anything went down... When she finally convinced Crawford to start up the experiment again, right? Because he was
locked up in the hospital,
right? And so she was all like, "Look, if you want to clear your name and whatever, we need to find out what exactly happened. You need to do this." And he was like, "Okay, fine." He explicitly said, "Do not move."
Yeah.
Okay. You move, they'll see you.
Yeah.
What's the first thing they do?
Oh, yeah,
literally, dude. First thing they do, the thing gets clicked on. I guess they get a boner first, and then they start moving. And it's like you really.
I know. I know. Well, if you really think about it, though, Darren, in any horror movie, do people really listen to any advice that someone gives? They never do. Never separate. Hey, I think it's best if we separate.
Yeah, Rick, I mean, I can get past that. If we're talking about a bunch of random stone teenagers in a freaking in the woods or something, but this is supposed to be science. I mean, this is right.
I know.
I mean, You got a scientist who is sitting there straight up telling you. He makes it a point.
Several times.
He makes it a point to literally like sit on this point. Pregnant pauses. Do not move. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's like, oh my God.
And they still immediately move.
Fuck.
Yeah. I
It kind of grossed me out. And it's not the actor. It was when Bubba had on those like little bikini briefs and
dude, he's like rolling, yes. And he was running. I'm like, oh my God, we got to see his junk flapping back and forth. I mean,
dude.
Yeah. I know. Dude, it's just nothing. This is what's interesting. Okay. This is going to crack you up. Remember Siskel and Ebert? You remember Siskel and Ebert?
Of course. Yeah.
So I was like, earlier this morning, I woke up and I was like, okay, let me see if there's any reviews out there on From Beyond. There was a review that Siskel and Ebert did on this. I'm like, they really watched this and did a review.
Wow, that's crazy.
What's more crazier is one of them liked it.
Oh, Jesus. Which one?
I think it was the skinny one. Is that Siskel?
Maybe.
I always got them. It was okay. So it was Roger Ebert and Gene.
I think he was
Siskel.
a heavier set. I think Ebert was
I think Roger Ebert was the bigger of the two. He was the one with the glass and he was a little bigger. I think Gene Siskel was the one that liked it, the balding one. He liked it. I'm thinking, you like this? And the review he did was maybe 2 minutes long or maybe not even that. And I was like, are you kidding me? What did you like about this? I just didn't see any charm in this movie.
Okay, I think the Roger Ebert, I think he's the skinnier guy.
Roger Ebert's the skinnier one?
Yeah.
You sure? I thought Roger Ebert was the bigger one.
Well,
he was the bigger one that had like the kind of brown hair and he had glasses. I thought Gene Siskel was the one he was the skinnier of the two. He was balding.
You're right.
And
You're right. You're 100% right.
One of them ended up coming down with some sort of cancer.
That was him.
What Gene Siskel did.
No.
Roger Ebert did. Yeah.
So I just had to scroll down a little bit further to get the younger pictures.
Gene Siskel liked it. I was like, what? Because they liked Reanimator and they referenced Reanimator. They're like, yeah, and I'm like, dude, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Darren, there's probably several people out there that really like this movie. I there was nothing about this I liked. Honestly, a few special effects, I guess, but honestly, man, the sex stuff made me. I felt there was no place for it. It made me uncomfortable.
Well, the only thing so on that whole sex thing, I was trying to process that and try to figure out where were they going? Why did they think that was? So the movie is exploring the senses.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think they even actually said it that there's a theory or something that the pineal gland is connected to sensuality or
I think
something like that, and so I think that's why they sort of went there with that whole the sexual slant.
Yeah,
is like, okay, well, we're dealing with the senses, touch, feel, sight, hear, and we're stimulating this gland that air quotes is supposed to be the thing that allows you to see other dimensions but it also gives you a raging hard on. That's what they were trying to do, and I think they thought, like, yeah, well, of course.
Now,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, do you think though that because we know that Dr. Pretorius was into bondage and stuff. Mm-hmm. From what Crawford says later on in the movie, is because he just couldn't get it up, and so instead he just torture women. And so, do you think him creating this resonator was his way of? I don't know, because if he couldn't...
You think it was the first Viagra pill? How much you're getting?
Yes, I do. The Resonator. Talk to your doctor about a prescription.
Now only $19.99.
$19.99.
Oh, shit.
She will like it too.
Oh my God.
Dude, all those commercials. All those commercials are like, I forget what they are. Like they're selling these pills, and then they and it's always one guy, and he sees like a couple, and he's talking to the guy, and then his wife is standing there, and he goes, and she'll like it too. It's like so stupid, dude. It's so stupid. The Resonator.
One free Resonator with every purchase.
One free Resonator. You're sure to get a boner. Oh, shit.
I don't even know where we go from there, man.
Dude. What kind of stuff? I tell you what. Let's do this. What did you like about the movie? Did you like? Was there certain things that you're like, okay, this is kind of cool? I mean,
I thought the house was really cool. You know, in a cool. Different type of horror movie, I think that'd be a good setting.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, some of the not the eels, not that shit swimming around, but I thought they did a decent job with the body horror props and stuff. I
thought they did too.
Some of the stuff that bugged me a little bit was like when it would go reach out and like grab her, like it was grabbing around her neck or something, and it just looked like big fat sausage fingers or something. It was like weird, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's like making a claw.
Yeah, something like that.
Instead of just some nasty.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude.
I agree with you. Like, I thought some of the practical effects were pretty cool. The eel stuff, all of that was terrible. Some of the practical effects were cool. I did enjoy that. I love because this is an 80s movie and it's mid 80s. I love the neon lights.
Oh yeah.
Like towards the beginning of the movie, we get like this kind of, I think it was like a neon pink. And then we see a Coca-Cola can, that obligatory plug that we have to, and it flies off. But I love colors. What I did not like was, I don't know if you noticed this, the address was 666.
Yes, I noticed that.
That's the stuff that I can't, that stuff bothers me is because you're trying too hard.
You're trying way too hard, man.
Way too hard. And I'm like, you don't need that. Like Benevolent Street, I'm fine with that.
Sure.
The 666, not so much. Why? Okay, so did you notice that when they were at the beginning of the movie, when Catherine went, she was in the hospital where Crawford was at because they thought he was crazy. Mm-hmm. And when the doors opened, it sounded like it was Star Trek.
Star Trek.
I'm like, is that? And I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but I did watch the original series, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I looked it up. Yeah. Why would they use the sound of the doors in this? It's weird to me.
I know. The only thing I can think of is just. Maybe they just someone, some sound designer, whatever, got himself a hold of. Could be as simple as that, just happened to have it laying around. Maybe like wherever they, did the sound engineering. Yeah. Maybe they're like, hey, over in this hard drive. I don't even know. Would it even be a hard drive? No, it'd probably be a tape. Back in 80.
Why? I guess my question is why?
Well, again,
it's a hospital.
It could be that they just had access to certain sound effects and they started running through, listening to them, and that was the closest they'd come to
a door open.
Well, no. So where the other component to where my thought process was, like Reanimator, it's science. It's like this Resonator is science. So maybe they were just...
Dude, you are stretching.
I am stretching, man. I am stretching. Because otherwise I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It is so out of place as to be unknown. I don't know. I'm just trying to go with anything.
To me, okay, so I do understand what you're saying. But there, by 1986, there has to be a million sound clips that sound like that's not Star Trek related. I mean, there had to have been something they could have grabbed.
Well, if I remember, the room was very, it seemed very white.
Well, okay, so when she went into, when Catherine got there and talked with Dr. Bloch or whatever her name is, she was walking down a hallway, the door opened, and it just looked like a regular door. And then when they were leaving, I think it was the same sound. It was literally leaving the hospital. So it wasn't like some fancy room that warranted that sound.
But remember she was walking where there were...
But she was walking down the hallway, and then he was in a room, but it was just to me, it was a white room, but it didn't seem like it was one of the, a room you stick a crazy person in and you put a straitjacket. Did he have a straitjacket on? I don't think he did.
He was just sitting in the corner.
He was just chilling there. Yeah. And so, I don't know, man. It was just something I noticed. It just didn't didn't fit for me.
Yeah, I also remember I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit when I was hearing them, but I didn't go much beyond that because I think in my mind I thought, well, how many times has Hollywood in movies reused, that scream?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. They do. They
reuse it all the fucking time.
All the time.
Now, I guess one could argue that they're not using it in an inappropriate way. I mean, they're using it the way it was intended.
Exactly.
Someone gets shot, someone falls off of something.
Absolutely, dude.
Right?
They recycle. Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Right. So I suppose in this case, this is just completely wrong for the type of door, the type of what,
It just didn't make. And what's sad, Darren? This is what's sad. Is it was like it happened 2 times and it was like a second each time.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even be talking about that. But because the movie sucked ass,
this is what we're talking about. This is like a point on the podcast is to spend what are we on now, like 8 minutes and talking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I try to find something that I could like. I don't want to just crap on a movie because we've talked about this before. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of stuff to make a movie.
Yeah.
And I never want to crap on a movie because I believe, it's hard to do that. And there's an art to it.
Yeah.
And I've never made a movie. But dude, I'm just going to say how I'm going to call it how I see it. And I was bored. I felt a lot of stuff just didn't work. I felt a lot of stuff was unnecessary. And I'm sure there's many people out there, if they listen to it, they would disagree, and that's okay. That is totally fine.
One thing that I had a problem with, and I'm sure that, probably it would have done that, is how it just shut down when she squirted foam on it. It was weird to me, man.
What was that as she squirted? Was it a fire extinguisher?
Fire extinguisher, like foam.
But then it came back on. But then she squirted more on it.
So the first time she squirted stuff on it, I thought she had 2 different scenes. I thought she squirted some foam on there and it shut down. Then maybe a few scenes later, it started back up and she squirted it again. Like, I don't understand, like, what? I mean, is it that, like, where she squirted it on the little... the bulb,
yeah,
the little,
yeah.
She squirted it there. She squirted it on the base of it.
Yeah, and then
is that thing so like not watertight or so like is there so many gaps in all of the?
I don't think so though.
That it would actually cause it to.
No, I don't think so at all. You know what it looked to me? It almost looked like the front of it looked like a water heater.
Yeah.
So it didn't look like there was any gaps in it at all.
That's what I mean.
So
it just seemed
and then they unplugged. They had like 8,000 plugs going into it. Okay, that's fine because you need enough power. But all the plugs were taken out, but it would still work.
Yeah.
Like it would somehow regenerate itself. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to think like what else, dude. The acting was.
I thought that Jeffrey Combs, I thought he did decent. I'm never disappointed with that guy's performance. He's pretty consistent.
He is. He is. Barbara Crampton. I've seen her in other movies. This is pretty much par for the course with her. Yeah. I don't want to be bad. I don't want to be mean or anything. It's just and Ken Foree. He was good. I mean, I've seen him in other stuff, and he's pretty consistent. The music didn't really jump out at me like I can always gravitate towards music. Sometimes a music will almost salvage a movie a little bit. Nothing jumped out at me with that.
Yeah.
I honestly, man, I mean, it just didn't work for me. I could not wait for the movie to be over with, and it wasn't because it was body horror. I've seen plenty of body horror movies, and some are pretty good.
I will say this, man. They did a good job making you feel uncomfortable. If that was their goal, let's make the audience feel uncomfortable. They did it. They succeeded.
So, Darren, I would say yes. I would agree with you that I think was their intent, because if you go to Reanimator, there's some uncomfortable stuff happening there. Mm-hmm. Society, which is the one I was telling you about, that is very uncomfortable, and that is serious body horror.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just what they're into. That was the thing they're into, and that's okay. I mean, to each their own. I'm just not it's not a subgenre of horror that I'm going to gravitate towards.
Yeah. See, I didn't have an opinion until 2 days ago.
So, but dude,
funny? Seriously, I didn't.
I know.
When I first saw this movie, honestly, man, I was in my 20s, and I didn't have really a whole lot of opinions back in when I was 20, 21, you know? So when I watched this, then I was just all like, oh yeah, you know, I mean, a monster. That was really what I was saying. Yeah, there's a monster, like, you know, you resonate frequencies and poop, you suddenly are able to see this crap, and it kind of looked, but I forgot all about the weird sexual stuff. And then when I watched it the other day, I was like, oh, fuck. I'm like, God damn it, I recommended this fucking thing.
It's okay,
you know?
though. Well, see, that's the thing is, Darren, it's okay for us to do a review on a movie we didn't like. We don't have to like them all. I would almost prefer we don't like them all. Yeah. I just feel like this, I think the general idea, like this is a simple idea, right? Yeah. Mad doctor wants to push the boundaries. Mm-hmm. Okay. We've seen that a million times. Yeah. I'm okay with that. It's a formula that works. Yeah. It didn't work here. I felt this was a missed opportunity. Like if it opens up this thing, throw out all the sexual crap. We don't need that. What's coming? What, you know, once that switch is, you know, what other creatures are coming? That they could have explored that.
You know, one of the things that messed with me a little bit. I don't mean mess with you as it like got in my head, made me all like, oh, you know. I mean that I had a hard time tracking properly. Was how they made it seem like they seem to go out of their way to make it seem like, especially with her, that it was addictive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Resonator gets thrown on there. You know, everyone's got their boners. She's all like, ooh, you know, whatever, right? So then they made it a point that like that she's somehow like addicted to this thing. Okay, well, I mean, if you're addicted, you're just gonna keep doing that. Yeah. Right. I mean, like that's how addicted they made it seem like. Yeah. At least from me, my takeaway was that she's hopelessly. I mean, dude, to the point where she puts on a bunch of fucking leather and then jumps on
top of him, you know, when he's like all he's passed out
and gross and like
exactly.
You know what I mean? So obviously she's lost sense of her faculties. Yeah, that's in my mind. That was my takeaway. And then she just goes back, flips the switch. Right. Yeah. Okay. Then when shit, I guess, gets real and basically she almost gets eaten, or I think, right? I mean, did she almost get eaten?
Yeah, I think she got attacked by Pretorius.
Like the thing started to like eat on her, and then I think they pulled the plug, and then all of a sudden it disappears, and then she had like a little breakdown. Yeah. And then from there on it was like no, because then she started like yanking all the cords out of there, and I'm going, well, so now you're telling me that what?
Yeah, you're not addicted.
You're not addicted now to it. Like
that's the thing. I understand, like, you know, the fascination with it, and she mentioned something about her father, you know, died in a mental institute, mm-hmm. and they did, you know, shock therapy on him and all, and that's why I think she got into the field she is because of. I understand the intrigue and
chasing daddy.
You know, well, you know, like I mean, if her father died in a hospital and she grows up and I'm smart enough and I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna specialize in something that maybe I can help other people that couldn't help my father. I'm on board. Yeah. I get that.
No issues there.
No issues. But the fact that it's like, if she's just kind of intrigued and it's like, wow, you know, I want to see what this does, but that's not really, it was literally an addiction. And then
that's the way they
and then she cut, and then she just stopped. Yeah. Like it was like all of a sudden, like she went through rehab.
Yeah. Like she's good to go.
Yeah. Like and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And again, it's part of just nothing worked for me. It felt like a mess. The ending, Darren, you're absolutely, dude, this movie could have stopped at an hour.
Oh yeah.
And that would have been, and that's it. But the last 20, 30 minutes, it drug. Yeah. It didn't make sense. Like she somehow knocks.
God, I forgot, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I forgot. Okay. He goes down there and he starts eating some brains out of a jar. Remember that, dude?
Yes. He went into one of the rooms and started eating the brain. Oh, and then he kept sucking out. Like, what was he doing with the eye? Was he sucking out the brain?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No, dude, it doesn't.
It makes zero sense to me.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, man, no, this movie is just bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the people out there who like this. I don't mean to shit all over it, but this is a dud for me. I mean, yeah, dude. I thought, first of all, when he was bald and he had the little vagina on his head and the thing was popping, that little worm thing was popping out, it would look, I thought that looked terrible. I thought some of the other effects looked kind of good. That looked just garbage.
Yeah.
It was garbage.
It was bad.
Didn't understand, like, what was eating the brains going to do for him? Because eating food made him sick. But what was the brain going to do? Eating the brain was going to do what? Like, all of a sudden it became a zombie? That doesn't make any sense here.
Yeah.
And then he's sucking stuff out of people's what are you sucking out?
Yeah.
Is he sucking out the eye?
It just
because it's supposed to be I don't know.
None of that. None of that. Just
I'm giving them too much credit here.
You just really are. I just think this was all for shock factor at that point. It was just.
The nosy neighbor was cool. I liked her.
Oh yeah. Bunny Summers is her
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
And wasn't her dog named Bunny?
Yes.
Oh my God, that was like a reach there. We couldn't come up with a name for her, so let's just.
I will say this. I thought it was hilarious when she goes up in the beginning of the movie. She goes up to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she's like, because the axe.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then. The Jeffrey Combs character comes running down the stairs. He literally like almost body checks her out of the way.
Puts her out of the way. Yeah.
I was cracking up.
Yeah. And then I don't know, man. I mean, look. So Crawford. Okay, so we know. Oh my God. Okay, I have to talk about this. Were those things moths or what? Were they flies? What were they? What,
God, I forgot about
was
that. Yeah.
Were they flies?
They were. Yeah,
like some sort of bug.
Yeah, just pestilence. Like, I don't know.
And they were enough of them so they ate him to the bone, except for his head didn't look like anything touched him.
That was ridiculous, dude.
It looked so stupid.
And what I didn't understand, check this out. When all of those bugs, let's just call them flies. I don't know, whatever. When they were all buzzing around like Crawford and Catherine, the Bubba dude had a flashlight.
Yes.
And he flashed it at them, and it looked like it was dispelling them.
Yes, it did.
But then I didn't understand, because then when he dropped the flashlight and the flashlight happened to be pointing at him, they seemed to be
attacking him. Yes, Darren.
I didn't understand that. I thought that like the light repelled them away.
I thought the same thing. It made no sense to me.
It was inconsistent.
And then it was like. And then it ate away. He's basically laying on the ground, and it's like
he looked like a prop in friggin' Beetlejuice.
Yes, I thought that. I thought Beetlejuice, and then his head is there, but his head looks untouched, unscathed as to these bugs. Yeah. Like the bugs don't want to eat his face, but they'll eat everything else on him, including his clothes. And it was like, oh my God, it's just dumb.
It was.
So he dies. Jeffrey Combs gets whatever happens to him. Let's just call him, he gets absorbed. I don't know.
He had his head bitten off. He had his head bitten off, and he got absorbed.
And then Catherine, she sets the bomb. The bomb goes on forever. Like it's supposed to be like 10 seconds. It felt like 10 minutes, but whatever.
God, yeah.
And then it goes to blow up. She jumps out the window through the glass, and then I guess, I don't know, dude, she breaks her, I don't know, was a bone sticking out of her leg? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
And then the neighbors come, because the neighbors are like checking it out, like, hey, what's up?
Dude.
Are you okay, miss?
Yeah.
No, the fucking houses blew up and my bone's sticking out of my leg. And then, dude, that's fucking...
Yes, she got a boner, too.
She got a boner. She got a boner. Now, that's the boner I could see. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh man, dude. I don't know much more we need to even.
No, dude, I almost feel like we've spent too much time on this fucking movie.
Kind of really have. Sorry, people.
That's okay, people. That's From Beyond. Yeah. Hey, watch it at your own risk. I don't know. Maybe it's something you're into, or maybe you've seen it and you like it. I don't know. I was telling Morris, I'm like, dude, when's the last time you watched this? And he goes, well, he goes, I think I watched it like maybe 2008 or 2009. I'm like, okay, so it's been about maybe 12 to 14 years. I said, I tell you what, man, watch it again. Tell me what you think about it now. Because I don't know if he's watched it yet. Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I think this was either like yesterday or the day before. I'm like, dude, this was just a mess. This was bad for me. I would never own this. I would never watch this again.
Yeah. I'm glad we found it free on Tubi, though, because I did not want to. I really didn't. Even before I, obviously watched it and then realized what a shit show it was, I was reluctant to want to even rent it.
Yeah.
So I started to YouTube. I'm like, well, maybe I can YouTube enough of the scenes to piece it together.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there wasn't. I really couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, where's it streaming?
Yeah.
And then I'm all, Tubi. I have one of those accounts. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, that shit's free.
Yeah, I think the
don't
last
even
time
think I
I was
even
over
logged
at your
into the
house,
thing.
I think I had you download Tubi just so you could watch stuff for free.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I would have been pissed if I had to pay even $3 for this thing.
Oh, God, yeah, dude.
So
that wouldn't
anyways,
have gone well for me.
so that's From Beyond. That's it. That's From Beyond. I think I'm
Beyond?
done. I'm done talking about this
No, yeah,
stupid
for
fucking
sure.
movie.
For sure. No, we can wrap it up.
Well, thanks for coming out, bud. I appreciate it,
yeah,
man.
for sure.
And I guess that's it. Everyone else, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And take care. You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.